Xiefeng. February 16, 2025. The highest state of life is unity with the Tao. The Tao is me, and I am the Tao and I are one, without distinction. The finest quality of life is honesty, being true and free of falsehood, completely genuine, with heart, spirit, intention, and form in perfect harmony. The ultimate pursuit of self-cultivation is to attain the Tao. To attain the Tao means to attain everything, it means attaining the universe and eternal life. Where there is no Tao, there is scholarship. Where there is no Tao, morality is emphasized. Where there is no morality, benevolence is emphasized. Where there is no benevolence, righteousness is emphasized. Where there is no righteousness, propriety is emphasized. Where there is no propriety, wisdom is emphasized. Where there is no wisdom, only skills and techniques remain. F-coins are a gateway for individuals to align with the Tao. They are the touchstone that reveals whether a person is genuine or deceitful, the microscope that allows one to examine their own character, and the benchmark that tests whether one's self-cultivation is authentic or superficial. Whether a person is a Buddha or a demon can be determined by the authenticity of their F-coins. If their F-coins are genuine, they are a Buddha; if they are false, they are a demon. The distance a person has from heaven can be measured by their F-coins. The more F-coins one has, the closer they are to heaven; the fewer, the farther away they are. First and foremost, each individual is their own mint for F-coins. Apart from the Tao, no one has the right to judge the authenticity of another's F-coins, nor does anyone have the interest to do so. We understand that a nation's currency supply must match its wealth, including resources, productivity, technological advancements, and more. If the money supply exceeds the nation's overall wealth, inflation occurs, causing the currency to lose value. Similarly, the number of F-coins one possesses must correspond to their selfless dedication and contributions. This dedication and contribution must be made without expecting anything in return. Calculating F-coins accurately and honestly is a serious test of one's character. In human society, false information and deception are rampant. In many cases, those who fabricate data and manipulate information actually reap countless benefits. Many wealthy individuals and high-ranking officials have attained their positions through dishonesty. The prevalence of deception in this complex social environment deeply influences public consciousness, shaping people's thoughts, behaviors, and speech. As a result, dishonesty has become the norm. Consequently, when calculating their own F-coins, people might be tempted to exaggerate or deceive. The moment one does this, they become a fraud, a worldly person, and a demon on the path of self-cultivation. Thus, the less visible one's actions are to others, the more cautious and meticulous one must be, for the eyes of the divine see all. If there is any falsehood in one's F-coins, it amounts to self-destruction. This is why I say, it is better to underreport than to overreport. Do not first concern yourself with whether F-coins hold practical value or function; instead, focus on whether you can pass the test of calculating your F-coins with integrity. This is a way to verify whether you are an honest life. We know that the formless determines the form. Consciousness is formless, yet it dictates one's thoughts, words, and actions. The wealth of heaven is formless, yet it determines the ultimate destination of a life. We also know that the sum of positive and negative energy in the universe is zero, and that giving and contributing must ultimately balance with receiving and enjoying. The more F-coins one has, the more they have given and contributed while receiving less in return. In this way, the balance of positive and negative energy cannot be maintained at zero. Therefore, the program of the Tao must arrange for those with abundant F-coins to enter heaven, ensuring compliance with the law of equilibrium. Thus, earning F-coins becomes the most critical task of life. The Tao is the most impartial force in both heaven and earth. This impartiality is reflected in individuals; those who give and contribute more deserve better living conditions, environments, and benefits. Those who have the ability to contribute but refuse to do so deserve to starve. This is the ultimate manifestation of the Tao's fairness. Xiefeng-style communism is absolutely not about equalizing benefits between those who contribute much and those who contribute little. That would be neither fair nor just, but rather an act of allowing the cunning and deceitful to exploit the honest and sincere. Therefore, F-coins serve as the fairest and most reasonable standard for determining whether a Chanyuan celestial can enter the home and which home they can enter in the future. The birth of F-coins is a revelation from God Jesus. When the world enters the era of the Great Unity, all other currencies will disappear, and F-coins will become the universal currency of both heaven and earth. Preface to the Celestial Cultivation Chapter. Xiefeng. August 26, 2005, Harare. Gems are classified based on their hardness, refractive index, specific gravity, color, transparency, purity, polish, and crystal structure. Diamonds are the finest of gems, while rubies, sapphires, cat's eyes, topazes, spinels, aquamarines, zircons, emeralds, and beryls are also considered high-grade gems. Tourmalines, crystals, garnets, peridots, jades, andalusite, nephrite, opals, moonstones, sunstones, turquoise, and others are mid-grade gems. Jadeite, pearls, malachite, coral, amber, and similar materials are lower-grade gems, while granite and ordinary stones are the lowest grade. People, based on their non-material structure, root capacity, spirituality, upbringing, knowledge, wisdom, and level of civilization, can be classified into 5 categories: the ignorant, the worldly, the ordinary, the virtuous, and the celestial beings. Celestial beings are further divided, according to their level of enlightenment, into human celestials, ghost celestials, land celestials, deity celestials, and super celestial beings. Human celestials, equivalent to saints, are further classified by their wisdom into perfected beings, true beings, celestial beings, divine beings, and heavenly beings. Some say that all humans are the same. They all have facial features, hair, 7 orifices, 5 organs, 6 viscera, arms, legs, and the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Indeed, on the surface everyone appears similar. However, once you look beyond appearances and examine the essence, the differences between people become vast. Some dare to bungee jump, while others do not. Guan Yu could calmly chat and laugh while having his bones scraped to treat poison, yet others grimace and grit their teeth even during a simple injection. There's a saying, if you see a woman traveling alone, she must be American; if you see a woman sitting on the ground crying, she must be Chinese. Although this statement is somewhat exaggerated, it highlights the differences between people. Otherwise, how would we know that Jesus is a God and Buddha is a Buddha? Just like oil, a gasoline engine can only use gasoline and a diesel engine can only use diesel. Using kerosene in an airplane won't work, and using lubricating oil as cooking oil is equally impossible. Hydraulic oil cannot replace safflower oil, butter cannot substitute for ghee, animal fat cannot replace light oil, and tung oil cannot replace pine resin oil. We must recognize that people, like gemstones and oils, exhibit hierarchical differences. The highest limit a human can reach is that of a super-celestial being. Becoming a Buddha is easier, but becoming a super-celestial being is far more difficult. The headquarters of super-celestial beings is in the Celestial Islands continent of the Elysium world. On Snow Peak Island within the Celestial Islands continent, Yui is a super-celestial being who can instantly become invisible and possesses infinite transformative powers. With a single gesture or thought, she can create endless phenomena. As Jesus said, faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. What seems impossible with conventional thinking is effortless with unconventional thinking. When an ordinary person, distraught over a $1,000 tuition fee for their child, resorts to hanging, someone else treats $1,000 as if it were waste paper. While some study their entire lives and become stubborn pedants, the illiterate 6th patriarch Huineng mastered the profound doctrines of Buddhism. Scholars can only teach, they cannot rule mountains or command armies. Some people might live 5,000 years without winning a Nobel Prize, while child prodigies become renowned by their 20s. We must admit that people differ in grade. Those who acknowledge differences among people can progress continuously, those who do not remain spiritually blind, leading a mediocre life without clear goals or direction. To many, cultivating immortality and becoming a celestial being is nothing more than a daydream or nonsense, because they rely solely on vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, lacking spiritual perception. Without spiritual perception, one recognizes only objective reality and scientific evidence, and cannot imagine vast worlds beyond three-dimensional space or the possibility of superluminal travel through space and time tunnels. Quantum mechanics has only vaguely acknowledged that the movement of subatomic particles is related to the observer's position and consciousness. Water crystallization experiments by Japanese scientists have demonstrated the profound link between human consciousness and the formation of water molecule crystals. Those who master these secrets can achieve in a minute what ordinary people might not accomplish in 10,000 years. The form of existence is shaped by one's way of thinking. Once this is understood, a qualitative leap occurs in one's structure of life. Almost everything the human mind can imagine exists, though not necessarily in this time and space. Science fiction may describe these actual existences, some will become realities in the future, while others are verified in other spaces. We cannot deny what we cannot see or hear. Can we deny the existence and motion of ultraviolet rays, infrared rays, cathode rays, and radio waves simply because they are invisible? The Celestial Cultivation chapter reveals profound insights into life through simple truths, guiding individuals step by step toward higher realms of existence. By unveiling the meaning of death, it clearly describes the scenarios that follow and illuminates how every word and action in our current three-dimensional space shapes the future. It demonstrates that Chanyuan is not a place of baseless claims or delusions but rather the crystallization of human wisdom and a treasure trove of life. For those aspiring to become celestials, may you quickly awaken your spiritual perception, follow the guide toward the highest realm of life, and not waste precious time in mundane society. Every moment is invaluable, so strive earnestly. Celestial Cultivation Chapter, Article 1, The Difference Between Super-Celestial Beings and Buddhas. Xiefeng. May 5, 2006. Super-celestial beings and Buddhas are both evolved forms of angels, creations of the greatest creator, and represent the highest state that humans can attain through cultivation. Both super-celestial beings and Buddhas reside in the Elysium world and possess supernatural abilities as well as transformational powers. Super-celestial beings, they have never lost their way. Buddhas, they have, at one time, lost their way. Super-celestial beings, they possess only one rank. Buddhas, they have 10 ranks. Super-celestial beings, they belong to a category of Buddhas who are not constrained by divine power. Buddhas, not all Buddhas are super-celestial beings. Super-celestial beings, they have only one base, the Celestial Islands continent in the Elysium world. Buddhas, they have 10 bases, namely Lotus Continent, Borneo Continent, Kasayapa Continent, Ingwu Continent, Amitabha Continent, Celestial Islands Continent, Three Realms Transit Continent, Moon Temple Continent, God's Continent, and Supreme Enlightenment Continent. Super-celestial beings, they are completely free and unrestrained. Buddhas, they are bound by divine laws and must strictly adhere to precepts. Super-celestial beings, they can freely transform into human forms. Buddhas, they can transform into human forms only if dispatched by the heavenly realm, otherwise, such a transformation would violate heavenly laws. Super-celestial beings, they are Buddhas, yet they do not necessarily have to worship other Buddhas. Buddhas, not every Buddha becomes a super-celestial being. Super-celestial beings, they are the most beloved beings of the greatest creator. Buddhas, they are subject to strict control by the greatest creator. Super-celestial beings, they can emerge from among Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, and ordinary people alike. Buddhas, only the descendants of the dragon have the potential to become Buddhas. Here, descendants of the dragon refers not only to the Chinese but to all Eastern peoples, excluding the descendants of Adam and Eve. Super-celestial beings are Buddhas, but not all Buddhas are super-celestial beings. They form a special category within the Buddha realm. However, they do not attain the supreme wisdom and capabilities inherent in the highest Buddha nature. Super-celestial beings are merely angels, subject to the commands of the gods, whereas Buddhas, at their highest level, can almost rival the gods. Attaining Buddhahood is exceedingly difficult. My advice to Easterners is to first strive toward the 1,000-year world rather than expect to ascend directly to the highest realm in a single leap. Becoming a super-celestial being is no easy feat either. Ordinary people should follow the path of the sages and then progress toward the 1,000-year world. For the members of Life Achanuan, since they have a guide, they should devote themselves wholeheartedly to the pursuit of becoming super-celestial beings. Opportunities like this are rare. Once missed, the chance to become a super-celestial being may be lost forever. The difference between super-celestial beings and Buddhas, Part 2. Xiefeng. A celestial being is one who dwells in the mountains. A Buddha is one who transcends human limitations. Celestial beings are detached from worldly affairs, roaming freely in nature, while Buddhas pursue supreme enlightenment under strict divine laws. Celestial beings are divided into 5 ranks. Super-celestial beings reside in the Celestial Islands continent. Deity celestial beings have no fixed abode. Land celestial beings reside in the 10,000-year world. Human celestial beings reside in the 1,000-year world. Ghost celestial beings reside in the space between the yin and yang spaces. Buddhas have 10 levels, each residing in a different continent: Lotus continent, Borneo continent, Kasyapa continent, Ingwu continent, Amitabha continent, Celestial Islands continent, 3 realms transit continent, Moon temple continent, Gods continent, and Supreme Enlightenment continent. All super-celestial beings are Buddhas, for the super-celestial beings of the Celestial Islands continent have attained Buddhahood. However, Buddhas are not necessarily super-celestial beings. Buddhas never cease their pursuit of supreme enlightenment. Buddhas embody solemnity, while celestial beings embody fluidity and spontaneity. It is easy to become a celestial being by worshipping Buddhas, yet practicing as a celestial being makes it difficult to attain Buddhahood. To become a celestial being, one must first worship Buddhas. Within the Buddha realm, the status of super-celestial beings is intermediate, comparable to university graduates. Above them are those akin to graduate students, master's students, and doctoral students. Super-celestial beings, like university graduates, cease further studies, whereas Buddhas never abandon their pursuit of higher learning. Super-celestial beings focus on self-amusement and do not concern themselves with the affairs of heaven or humanity. Buddhas, on the other hand, seek neither entertainment nor temporary ease but devote themselves to attaining supreme enlightenment. Super-celestial beings are the freest, happiest, and most blissful beings in the entire universe. They are the greatest Creator's favorites, bearing no responsibilities or obligations. Buddhas, by contrast, are the wisest beings in the universe, strict in self-discipline and willing to take on responsibilities and obligations when necessary. Super-celestial beings possess all supernatural abilities, but they use them primarily for personal amusement. Buddhas, as they ascend in their enlightenment, develop varying levels of supernatural abilities, which they use to fulfill responsibilities and obligations. The path to becoming a celestial being differs somewhat from the path to Buddhahood. There are no restrictions in becoming a celestial being, while the path to Buddhahood is heavily regulated by strict precepts. Becoming a super-celestial being is easy, becoming a Buddha is difficult. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 2, The Classification and Realms of Celestials. Xiefeng. 2005 August 26, Harare. Just as humans have different levels of character and virtue, celestials also have different grades. Similarly, among plants, some blossom and bear fruit while others do not, some produce sweet fruit, while others bear sour ones, some have deep roots and lush foliage, while others have shallow roots and sparse leaves, some grow tall, while others remain short, some bloom with fragrant flowers, while others produce scentless blossoms. Humans can perceive the diversity of plants, just as gods can see the myriad states of human beings. Only by standing atop the highest peak can one overlook the majestic mountains, only by reaching the highest realm can one observe the boundless variety of human existence, only by traversing the 36-dimensional spaces can one comprehend the classifications and realms of celestials. Failing to perceive differences does not mean that differences do not exist, it simply indicates that one's level of awareness is too low. A person sitting at the bottom of a well cannot see the vast blue sky. This is not because the sky lacks vastness, but because their vision is limited. Denying the wonders of the universe and the infinite levels of life based on one's constrained perspective is ignorance. Trying to define the boundless dimensions of time and space and the infinite wisdom of the cosmos through one's own ignorance is foolishness. 99% of humanity lives in ignorance and foolishness. 95% of people have closed hearts and remain unconscious in their awareness. That is why Jesus said that few people find the gate to true life, and even fewer manage to enter it. The broad road is the worldly path, the path that the masses walk leads to death. Only those who squeeze through the narrow gate and endure the arduous journey along a rugged trail may glimpse the dawn of life. In the end, they will ascend the perilous peak of life and enter an even vaster realm of existence. Celestial beings are classified into 5 types: ghost celestials, human celestials, land celestials, deity celestials, and super celestials. The Chinese nation is unique, producing countless saints, sages, and great hermits beyond the reach of Western Nobel laureates. The ability to perceive meridians and acupoints with clarity, the mastery of refining essence into energy, refining energy into spirit, and refining spirit into emptiness, as well as the profound insight into the unity of heaven and man, beyond the comprehension of spirits and ghosts, are beyond the imagination of ordinary people. The classification of celestials has long been well understood by sages of the past. In my exploration of the origins of the universe, I found that my predecessors had already reached the peak of understanding. When I traversed the 36 celestial spaces and observed the forms and qualities of life across various spaces, I realized that ancient saints had already drawn definitive conclusions. For instance, regarding the classification of celestials, one great hermit once said, "Those who are purely spiritual and formless are ghost celestials. Those who live long lives without illness in the mortal world are human celestials. Those who can fly through the mist, remain free from hunger and thirst, unaffected by heat and cold, and roam the islands while attaining eternal life are land celestials. Those who can change form, appear and disappear unpredictably, take on various ages, and possess divine wisdom beyond the comprehension of ghosts, spirits, and even diviners are super celestials. Those who refine primordial energy into the primordial spirit, attain supernatural powers, and become immune to water and fire are deity celestials." The words of the saints hold true. In more detail, the types of celestials and their corresponding realms are as follows. Ghost celestials. Ghost celestials exist between the yin and yang spaces, beyond the range of human vision. Thus, they are considered formless. However, from their own perspective, they do not perceive themselves as formless. This is similar to what has been observed in near-death experiences studied by Western scientists. When people temporarily die, meaning their souls leave their bodies, they can clearly see their own physical forms surrounded by doctors and loved ones. They even feel that their facial features, bodies, and hair remain intact. Thus, the formlessness of ghost celestials is only relative to human vision, not an actual loss of form. In the 36-dimensional spaces, within the 5-dimensional space between yin and yang, I once described. The third type of people are those who often dwell in obsessive thoughts or die unexpectedly in the prime of life. Because they are unprepared and still deeply attached to the material world, they resist moving on. Their wishes remain unfulfilled, and they are unwilling to leave. However, their physical bodies have already perished, and without a material vessel, their spiritual bodies wander aimlessly between the yin and yang spaces. Some cases of spirit possession are caused by these lingering souls. Those who die with unresolved grievances are also prone to lingering in this space. Ghost celestials are essentially what people commonly refer to as ghosts. Benevolent ghosts can be considered ghost celestials. Even harmful ghosts have specific reasons for their actions. There is always a cause and effect relationship. As long as one maintains a clear conscience, ghosts will never harm them. As the saying goes, if you have done nothing wrong, you have nothing to fear from ghosts knocking at your door. Ghost celestials do not linger indefinitely in the yin-yang space. Some quickly recover and return to their bodies, while others swiftly reincarnate. That is why it is important to treat the deceased with kindness. Offering comfort, burning paper money, and speaking words of reassurance can help them move on more quickly. Human celestials. Human celestials are saints in the mortal world. They understand the principles of existence, are free from worldly desires, practice non-action, wu wei, transcend conventional norms, and maintain physical and mental well-being. They do not possess supernatural abilities but have seen through the illusions of the mortal world. They are detached from concepts such as nations, ethnicities, families, political parties, and religions. They take things as they are, acting in accordance with their intrinsic nature, and seize opportunities as they arise. Human celestials do not participate in any religious or political organizations, as they do not wish to be bound, nor do they seek to bind others. They enjoy the company of kindred spirits but avoid interactions with worldly people. Wealth, status, and fame mean nothing to them, nor do they concern themselves with success or failure, gain or loss. To them, all these things are fleeting clouds. Land celestials. Land celestials possess supernatural abilities or profound mastery of Taoist arts. They can benefit both humanity and themselves. They communicate seamlessly with both humans and spirits, moving freely without restrictions. Figures such as Hua Tuo, Sun Simiao, Bien Ke, and Taoist masters with profound spiritual attainments are land celestials. Land celestials excel in the art of health preservation. Many teachings in the Life Achanuan Health Preservation chapter originate from the wisdom of land celestials. Their insights include principles from the Compendium of Heart and Mind Healing, such as all things are exhausted by movement and nourished by stillness. Stillness is the dwelling place of the spirit. Without tranquility, one cannot reach distant goals. Stillness breeds wisdom, movement breeds confusion. It is the spirit that gives me life, it is the mind that brings me death. When still, the roots deepen and flourish, when in motion, the stem is uprooted and withers. The 8 steps of cultivating stillness are: do not give rise to anger, do not give rise to arrogance, do not indulge in absurdity, be moderate in desires, moderate in labor, be cautious in speech, abstain from killing, and benefit others. Including the 8 mind methods in my intermediate cultivation. Calm the mind, stop the mind, govern the mind, correct the mind, humble the mind, settle the mind, purify the mind, and transcend the mind. These are the defining characteristics of land celestials. They have cultivated themselves to the point where they no longer experience hunger or thirst, remain unaffected by heat and cold, travel freely among islands, and attain mastery over life and death. Deity celestials. Deity celestials do not belong to human society. They can traverse space-time tunnels at will, moving freely between heaven, the human world, and the underworld. They possess divine abilities and can undergo limitless transformations. Sun Wukong from the mythological novel Journey to the West, before attaining true enlightenment, is a living example of a deity celestial. He had 72 transformations, could ride clouds and mist, and a single somersault spanned 54,000 kilometers. Deity celestials have no fixed abode, both heaven and earth are their home. They can shrink to the size of a subatomic particle or expand as vast as a mountain. They can enter the molecular world to tour mountains and rivers, or kick celestial bodies as if they were mere balls. To understand the realm of deity celestials, one can refer to the stories in Journey to the West and the Investiture of the Gods. Perhaps you think these are mere myths, but in reality, they are not. As long as one masters the key to cultivation, this state can be attained. The biggest challenge is that no historical human records contain the secret to cultivating into a deity celestial. Such secrets will never be written down, they can only be grasped through innate wisdom and deep enlightenment. Super Celestials. Super Celestials represent the highest realm that humans can attain. Their base is on the Celestial Islands continent of the Elysium world. In my description of the Celestial Islands continent, UE, the master of Snow Peak Island, serves as an example of a super celestial. The revered Guanyin Bodhisattva is also a super celestial, as are angels in Western culture. A super celestial is essentially a Buddha, but with a key difference: while Buddhas still bear certain constraints, super celestials are entirely free. Buddhas have duties and responsibilities, whereas super celestials have none whatsoever. The defining characteristic of a super celestial is the absolute freedom to indulge in joy and play as they please. Once one becomes a Buddha, there are still higher realms to ascend to, but once one attains the state of a super celestial, they have reached the ultimate limit of life. These concepts are far beyond the scope of human wisdom. The more I explain, the more elusive and incomprehensible they may seem, eventually turning into what some might consider incoherent rambling. The higher the level of wisdom and consciousness a being possesses, the more mythical it appears. Human celestials and land celestials are closely related to humans, making them relatively easier to comprehend. The realm of deity celestials is still within the bounds of imagination, but the realm of super celestials is purely mythical. All of these mysteries are embedded within the profound secrets of life itself. The 36 8-trigram arrays set by the greatest creator are incredibly difficult to break or decipher, primarily because they lie beyond our imagination. Since we cannot conceive of them, we assume they are fabricated illusions, mere fantasies conjured out of thin air. As the saying goes, the enlightened see the essence, while the unenlightened watch the spectacle. If you expect me to instantly reveal the secrets of enlightenment, that's simply out of the question. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 3, Less Selfishness and Fewer Desires, Unshaken by Favor or Disgrace. Xiefeng. A living being comprises a physical body and a spiritual body, together forming life. The Hun represents spirit, consciousness, and mind, while the P refers to the physique, the material carrier of life, the physical body. Immortality cultivators prioritize refining the soul, paying only moderate attention to the physical body. This means placing greater emphasis on spirit, consciousness, and mind over the physical form. Observing the bustling streets, we see only two kinds of people, those chasing fame and those chasing wealth. The pursuit of fame and fortune is humanity's common condition. If we fail to remain clear-headed and join the race for name and gain, we inevitably mistake the means for the end and squander our precious lives. Power, rank, wealth, and luxury are snares on the path to immortality. Honor and disgrace, favor and humiliation, are obstacles to this journey. Only by reducing selfish desires and remaining unshaken by praise or criticism can one embark on the path of immortality. A petty person sacrifices themselves for profit, scholars and literary figures sacrifice themselves for fame, scientists sacrifice themselves for knowledge, great men sacrifice themselves for achievements, ordinary people sacrifice themselves for family, politicians sacrifice themselves for their country, saints sacrifice themselves for the world, but celestials sacrifice themselves for the Tao. The sayings, man dies for wealth, birds die for food, and a wild goose leaves its cry behind, a person leaves their name behind, encapsulate the worldly perspective on life. Those who prioritize profit will be entangled by it, and those who covet profit will be harmed by it. Those who value fame will be trapped by it, and those who seek fame will be wounded by it. The desire for power, rank, and wealth is an abyss with no bottom. Once a person recklessly indulges in this endless pursuit, they become insatiable, gaining an inch and craving a mile, obtaining a raincoat and then demanding an umbrella, becoming a minister and then eyeing the throne. Those who perish in the raging fire of fame and fortune rarely return. The obsession with fame and wealth blinds wisdom, driving people to extortion, deceit, fraud, exploitation, cruelty, corruption, and every form of unscrupulous behavior, ultimately leading to self-inflicted suffering, self-dug graves, and self-destruction. Diminishing selfish desires is the starting point of immortality cultivation. Without eliminating selfishness, one remains trapped in mundanity. Unchecked desires consume one in the fires of greed. A cultivator must diminish selfishness and curb desires, remaining clear-headed amidst wealth, power, and sensual temptations. One must control material possessions rather than be controlled by them. Laozi advocated, desire to be free of desire, do not treasure rare possessions, and the 5 colors blind the eyes, the 5 tones deafen the ears, the 5 flavors dull the palate, hunting and galloping madden the mind, and rare treasures cause harmful actions. Those who chase fame and fortune inevitably vie for status in the courts of power and scramble for profit in the bustling marketplace, even risking their lives, only to face ruin and disgrace. No misfortune is greater than not knowing contentment, no blame is greater than coveting more. Excessive pursuit of fame and wealth inevitably invites disaster and misfortune. After all, 1,000 acres of fertile land, yet one only sleeps on 8 feet of it at night. Birds in the forest rest on a single branch, why the endless striving? Thus, cultivators should embrace fewer selfish desires, contentment, tranquility, and a natural, unrestrained state of being. Only in this way can one avoid the anxieties of gain and loss, prevent conflicts and disputes with others, and embody the wisdom that, because he does not compete, no one in the world can contend with him. If I do not contend with you, then what is there for you to contend against? Seeking good fortune in times of misfortune, avoiding harm while pursuing benefits, rejoicing in favor, and despairing in disgrace, all these are the concerns of the secular mind. Throughout history, people have staged countless heart-wrenching dramas on the grand stage of honor and disgrace. Those who receive favor become elated and intoxicated with joy, while those who lose favor sink into despair and rage. Yet, they fail to realize that favor is merely another form of servitude, and disgrace is merely a return to one's true self. Why let it trouble the heart? Those who place excessive value on worldly riches and fame inevitably compromise their personal integrity. Being deeply affected by both honor and disgrace is a sign of servility and extreme selfishness. Those who bask in favor become arrogant, lose themselves, and even abet wrongdoing, harming the virtuous. Those who suffer disgrace become despondent, lose their will, and pathetically beg for mercy. A cultivator must avoid such extremes. To be shaken by both honor and disgrace is to lose one's heavenly nature, innate nature. Once this nature is lost, not only is immortality beyond reach, but one risks becoming neither truly human nor spirit. Therefore, one must remain indifferent to fame and fortune, unshaken by honor or disgrace, transcend worldly attachments, and become the master of one's own heart and emotions. In the forest of seclusion, there is neither honor nor disgrace, on the path of righteousness, there is neither warmth nor coldness. Observe the drifting white clouds and the autumn moon, carefree and at ease. Witness the blooming and falling of flowers, coming and going without attachment. Taiji celestial and Foshan celestial move with complete freedom. Penglai celestial and Tianshan celestial, like clouds rolling and winds dispersing. Wuji celestial and Wanyin celestial, without beginning or end. Biyun celestial and Sanghai celestial, pure and unspoiled. This is the heart, sentiment, joy, and realm of celestial beings. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 4, Clarity through Detachment, Reaching Far through Tranquility. Xiefeng. Throughout history, those who achieved purity and transcendence embraced detachment and tranquility as their life's foundation. Zhuge Liang, the epitome of wisdom, was moved by Liu Bei's 3 visits to his humble abode and devoted himself entirely, laboring until his death. Yet, he deeply understood the nature of the world and taught his children that without detachment, one cannot establish clear aspirations, and without tranquility, one cannot achieve great distances. I often turn to Kai Gen Tan, Vegetable Root Discourse, for clarity and renewal. This is not only due to its concise and elegant writing but also because of its profound wisdom and unique insights into the path of immortality. Reading it dispels confusion and brings clarity. Consider passages such as N. Simplicity reveals true flavor, the ordinary reveals true brilliance. N. In stillness, the heart reveals truth and illusion. N. Detachment clarifies purpose, indulgence corrupts integrity. N. Transcending the mundane brings true renown, surpassing the ordinary leads to the sacred. N. From filth comes purity, from darkness, brightness. N. Wisdom dispels ignorance, a steady nature leads to righteous deeds. N. Attachment clouds the heart, cleverness hinders the Tao. N. Avoid extremes, neither excessive richness nor excessive barrenness. N. Transcend beyond heaven and earth, remain unentangled by fame and fortune. N. To avoid disaster in the visible realm, do not offend the unseen forces. N. Cultivate frugality to maintain integrity, embrace simplicity to preserve authenticity. N. Read works of wisdom, listen to music that reflects true essence. N. Maintain a bright heart, keep thoughts untainted. N. A humble heart comprehends principles, a steadfast heart resists desires. N. Nurture the righteous energy of heaven and earth, and model oneself after the sages of past and present. N. Stillness in motion is true stillness, joy amid suffering is true joy. N. Those who seek the extraordinary lack profound insight, those who walk alone lack steadfast discipline. N. The heart of a noble person is like a sky cleared after the rain. N. What is intense fades quickly, what is subtle endures. Great achievements take time to mature. N. In stillness, one perceives the true realm, in simplicity, one recognizes the original nature. N. When the heart is still, the essence reveals itself, when water is clear, the moon's reflection is bright. N. A heart free from desire remains serene, with a book and a zither, one becomes a celestial being. N. All things are illusions, the wise see beyond them. N. Life is but a fleeting bubble, why struggle over fame and wealth? N. Observe the world with calmness, steal moments of leisure in a busy life. N. Make drifting clouds your companions, and the wind and moon your home. N. The hermit is indifferent to honor or disgrace, the Tao is untouched by the warmth or coldness of the world. N. Attaining the Tao frees one from attachments, neither agitation nor stillness has any hold. N. Clinging leads to suffering, liberation leads to immortality. N. Extreme agitation leads to confusion, extreme stillness leads to clarity. N. Resting among clouds, playing with the moon, detached from the world's dust and turmoil. N. Crudeness cannot compare to elegance, simplicity surpasses extravagance. N. Reading the I Ching among pine trees, discussing scripture beneath bamboo groves. N. A peaceful heart sees beauty everywhere. N. When one's nature is whole and desires are few, even an ordinary person can become a celestial being. N. All things arise from destiny, find contentment in every circumstance. I also often read Zhenguang Xian Wan, Expanded Words of the Worthy, deeply admiring the wisdom of ancient Chinese sages. Consider these words. N. Indulgence in greed and attachment is a sea of suffering, the burning desire for profit is a pit of fire. And, when faced with adversity and hardship, trace their origins, and resentment will naturally fade. When contemplating the fleeting nature of fame and wealth, attachment will naturally lessen. And, living in a humble cottage may limit the senses, but the spirit remains free. Befriending mountain hermits may lack formality, but the intentions are always genuine. And, ambition is lost in indulgence, clarity of mind comes from simplicity. And, in the desolate graves of Baimang, there is no distinction between rich and poor. The floating clouds over Yulei witness the changes of past and present. And, even the flesh and blood body is but a fleeting shadow, how much more so the shadows beyond. Even mountains and rivers are but specks of dust, how much more so the dust within dust. And, let the world's path be treacherous, my heart remains at peace. And, if you do no wrong in your daily life, you need not fear a knock at the door in the dead of night. And, in all matters, do not deceive, for the gods watch from just 3 feet above. And, at the moment of thought, restrain the 3 great desires, only at the end will you preserve a trace of truth. And, treat others without the slightest deceit or concealment, handle affairs with unwavering calm and composure. And, whether you rush or take your time, the path ahead remains the same, whether you gain by force or by consent, it all ends in emptiness. And, do not assume that human relationships are always warm like spring, for autumn's chill will surely come. And, the wicked may be feared by others, but not by heaven, the good may be wronged by others, but not by heaven. And, a dragon in shallow water is mocked by shrimp, a tiger on flat land is bullied by dogs. And, autumn insects and spring birds both express the workings of nature, why indulge in unnecessary sorrow or joy? Old trees and new flowers alike contain the essence of life, why judge beauty and ugliness? And, greed for the benefits of livestock leads to the loss of one's nature, taking advantage of others invites the retribution of heaven. And, the bamboo fence and thatched cottage offer a beauty that even the grandest temples cannot match. And, observing movement in stillness and watching others' busyness in leisure brings the joy of transcending the mundane. Finding moments of leisure in busyness and stillness in motion is the art of living. And, do not indulge in excessive joy, for extreme joy leads to sorrow. Do not indulge in excessive desires, for unchecked desires bring disaster. And, be detached in solitude, gentle in company, humble in success, and calm in failure. And, with constant vigilance in thought, one can avoid the arrows of gods and the snares of demons. With a heart untainted by even a speck of dust, one can escape the traps of heaven and earth. And, to toy with others is to lose virtue, to be obsessed with objects is to lose ambition. And, whispers among men are like thunder to heaven, a guilty conscience in the dark is as bright as lightning to the gods. And, do not anxiously pursue wealth and honor, nor fret over poverty and lowliness. And, finding joy in the brilliance of flowers and the clamor of music is but an illusion, discovering delight in the falling leaves, withered grass, and quiet simplicity is where true meaning lies. Through detachment, one sees people fighting on a snail's horn and debating in a flash of lightning. Fighting for wealth and status is as futile as flies scrambling for blood or ants swarming over carrion, a life of misplaced priorities and short-sightedness. Detachment brings clarity of purpose. Detachment brings clarity, enabling one to see the path, discern the right direction, and envision the distant horizon. Only then can one cultivate immortality. Tranquility is the abode of the divine. Without it, the soul drifts aimlessly, making lasting progress impossible. The allure of sensory pleasures, material gains, and interpersonal conflicts can easily cloud the mind, but with tranquility, no matter how circumstances change, one remains as steady as the sun in a clear sky, dispelling all haze. Only now, at my age, have I come to understand these truths. Looking back, I feel profound regret, time wasted is irretrievable, and youthful years have flowed away like water. I regret not having followed the path of the greatest creator earlier, for by now, my spiritual achievements would have been complete. All that remains is to treasure every moment and strive with diligence. On the journey of life, the deepest emotions are found in familial and friendly bonds. On the path of cultivation, the most crucial element is finding kindred spirits. Francis Bacon once said, "The lack of true friendship is the most profound and pitiable solitude." Without friendship, the world is but a wilderness. The path of cultivation cannot be walked alone, those who walk alone lack steadfastness. The more fellow cultivators, the better. A true confidant is rare and precious. Just as detachment clarifies one's purpose, it also refines one's friendships. The friendship of a noble person is like water, the friendship of a petty person is like sweet wine. A noble person remains close through simplicity, while a petty person's affection dissolves with indulgence. Befriending someone solely for their power is mere flattery. Once their influence wanes, the friendship dissolves. Forming friendships through bribery is mutual exploitation. When difficulties arise, the bond crumbles. Idolizing eloquent and talented individuals for self-glorification is vanity. Once their reputation is tarnished, the admiration fades. Forming friendships out of shared misfortune is often a relationship of convenience, a case of bowing under the eaves when one has no choice. Once circumstances change, the bond is hard to sustain. Friendships built on calculated benefits are inherently utilitarian, close when there is profit, distant when the profit is gone, coming when there is gain, and leaving when there is none. As the saying goes, the rich in the mountains have distant relatives, the poor in the city have no visitors. Only through detachment can one form true friendships. Only through detachment can one find a kindred spirit. Clarity through detachment, reaching far through tranquility. Those who walk the path of cultivation must take heed. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 5, Seeking Kindred Spirits, Gradually Transcending the Mundane. Xiefeng. Those who pursue the extraordinary often lack far-reaching vision, those who walk alone lack steadfast discipline. The reclusive struggle to uphold the Tao, and those immersed in the secular world find it difficult to transcend mundanity. Cultivating immortality requires seeking kindred spirits, for without them, it is challenging to remain steadfast on the celestial path. Daily life in the mortal world is filled with trivialities and distractions, making it hard for the mind to find peace. Thus, it is essential to gradually transcend the mundane. Self-awareness is invaluable, yet it is not easily attained. The world is filled with people who are self-opinionated, arrogant, and deluded, while those who possess self-awareness, humility, and self-reflection are rare. To achieve the immortal path, one must first cultivate self-awareness. But how does one do so? By using a mirror to reflect upon oneself. Where is this mirror? It lies in kindred spirits, they are the mirror. Seeking kindred spirits is a lifelong endeavor. To find a true spiritual companion is like discovering a hidden treasure. A single grain of sand contains an entire universe. One true kindred spirit opens the gateway to a celestial paradise. Those who are truly rich are those who have spiritual companions. My fate has been modest, and I have relied solely on personal enlightenment in all matters. Therefore, I deeply understand the preciousness of kindred spirits. Since founding Life Echanuan, I have yearned to find such companions. I treat everyone who enters Life Echanuan as a fellow seeker, offering timely praise and hoping to walk the immortal path together, journeying toward the celestial realm. Unfortunately, due to my humble origins and lack of worldly sophistication, I have faced numerous setbacks. Those above me in wisdom do not wish to associate with me, those on par with me are ambitious, seeking to establish their own domains rather than aligning with Life Echanuan. As for those below me, aside from a few Chanyuan celestials, I have yet to find them. Seeking the Tao is difficult, seeking kindred spirits is even harder. Hence, the ancients lamented, a kindred spirit is the rarest treasure in life. Flowers are easy to obtain, money is easy to acquire, but a true spiritual companion? Even if one searches the heavens above and the underworld below, they may still remain elusive. A true spiritual companion is one who treats me as an equal, not only capable of discussing the scriptures and the Tao, sharing a bed without discomfort, but also engaging in fiery arguments upon meeting. If we do not see each other for 3 days, our souls grow restless, as if mourning a great loss. In the morning, we might quarrel until our faces are red with anger, swearing never to meet again, yet before sunset, one of us appears at the other's door with a bottle of liquor, grinning mischievously, vowing never to part. Spiritual companions are as precious as life itself. I have Foshan, Taiji, Wuji, Pinglai, Wanyan, Biyun, Tianshan, and Sanghai Celestial, each an integral part of my existence. Yet, can I find one with whom I can argue, then laugh, and get drunk under the stars? I wonder. Without a spiritual companion, life is sorrowful. Without a spiritual companion, life is pitiful. Without a spiritual companion, one is either arrogant and self-absorbed or self-deprecating and despondent. A flower blooms with no one to admire it, a leaf falls with no one to grieve, blooming and withering in vain. Is this not tragic? The desire to transcend the mundane is present in all. Yet, those who truly attain it are as rare as a shooting star. Why? Not due to a lack of spirituality, but because the burdens of the mundane world drag them down. Above, there are elderly parents to care for, below, there are children to nurture. In between, there are spouses needing attention, and on all sides, neighbors, friends, and siblings requiring support. With a restless mind and a distracted heart, and in an era where societal competition grows increasingly fierce, even those who give their all still fall behind. Who has the time to live freely and gracefully in the world? Alas! Alas! Entangled in the mortal world, cultivating transcendence is arduous. The only feasible way forward is to gradually sever worldly attachments. Beyond relinquishing the pursuit of fame and fortune, one must fulfill obligations to parents and children and then gradually detach from all other secular ties, accepting them if they exist, but embracing their absence if they do not, and never again entangling oneself in worldly bonds. In doing so, one can slowly distance from worldly attachments and gradually approach the celestial realm. I often dream of creating a utopian paradise, bringing together Foshan, Pinglai, and other Chanyuan celestials. At dawn, we climb mountains, chop wood, fetch water, and plant melons in the fields. At noon, we sit in the shade of trees, discussing the scriptures and the Tao while sipping tea to the sound of a guqin, a traditional Chinese zither. In the afternoon, we play and chase each other through forests and streams. At night, we cultivate our minds and refine our spirits through meditation, shedding mortal attachments. Cultivating the Tao is difficult, more challenging than ascending the heavens from the treacherous paths of Shu. Attaining transcendence is harder, for the greatest difficulty lies in transcending the mortal world. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 6, Nurturing the Spirit of Heaven and Earth, Loving Nature and the Rivers and Mountains. Xiefeng. All things in heaven and earth, all of nature, are both the intrinsic and extrinsic manifestations of the Tao. Between heaven and earth, there is nothing noble and nothing lowly, nothing useless and nothing to be discarded. From bacteria to celestial bodies, from plants to mountains and rivers, all are manifestations of the Tao, all are components of the Tao. Humans are part of nature, seamlessly integrated with the Tao. This means that humans are one with all things in heaven and earth. Therefore, we must cultivate the spirit of heaven and earth, love nature and the rivers and mountains. To show contempt for heaven and earth is to show contempt for oneself. To destroy nature and the rivers and mountains is to bring devastation upon oneself. Selfishness is self-destruction, and self-destruction is selfishness. A person who lacks the spirit of heaven and earth is bound to act selfishly and recklessly. A person who does not love nature and the rivers and mountains will inevitably become an evil being, ultimately suffering nature's retribution. The so-called spirit of heaven and earth is the ability to merge oneself into all things in heaven and earth. I am everything, and everything is me. As long as all things exist, I exist, if all things perish, I perish. I coexist with the universe and all its creations. With the spirit of heaven and earth, one can possess immense righteous energy and naturally develop a noble and pure character. This spirit allows one's consciousness to expand into infinite time and space, achieving unity with the spirit of the universe and thereby attaining eternal life. The Taoist state of harmony between heaven and man can thus be realized. The grass on the vast plains withers and flourishes year after year. Wildfires cannot destroy it, with the spring breeze, it grows again. All things undergo cycles of purification and elimination. Only through continuous self-purification and renewal can one refine one's character and extend life into infinite time and space. This is the spirit of heaven and earth, transcending ordinary perspectives. By attaining this understanding, one will no longer grieve over decline nor rejoice in prosperity but will instead ascend toward the highest realm of life. The spirit of heaven and earth is a vast, boundless, and magnanimous heart, like the ocean that embraces thousands of rivers. It is a transcendent, all-encompassing spirit, free from the limitations of self, space, and time, possessing the vision of a Buddha that perceives the infinitely small and the infinitely vast, a spirit of Hundun. It is the eternal spirit of merging oneself into the infinite universe and time-space. Life Changyun advocates for the spirit of heaven and earth because the entire universe is a Zen garden of life. Once one comprehends its Zen essence, one can coexist with heaven and earth and attain enlightenment to become a celestial being. Nature and the rivers and mountains are like my hair, skin, flesh, bones, and blood vessels. Loving nature and the rivers and mountains is loving myself. By loving nature and the rivers and mountains, one can hear the melodies of heaven and earth, savor the mysteries of creation, and understand the sacredness and will of the greatest Creator. At the same time, this love can awaken one's compassion, enabling one to treat all things in the universe equally, without creating artificial distinctions of rank and status, thereby preventing unnecessary worries and sorrows and avoiding elimination by the laws of life. To reach the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world, one must learn to observe nature, listen to nature, learn from nature, and love nature, and from this, create nature. On Snow Peak Island, super-celestial being UES mystical arts stem from the marvelous practice of creating nature. This divine mastery originates from meticulous observation, imitation, and creation of the myriad aspects of nature. Without an understanding of nature's manifestations, one cannot attain her level of mystical power. Therefore, one must listen to every celestial and earthly melody, observe every blade of grass and every flower, appreciate every change in the wind, clouds, rain, and snow, and focus on the ever-shifting natural scenery. One must strive to imprint within one's heart all the true, good, beautiful, and loving phenomena one sees, hears, smells, and senses so that they can be embedded in one's consciousness and later replicated in the celestial islands. I have always praised the images of "The Heavenly Kingdom is so delightful," reposted by Wanyan Celestial. If we can deeply imprint those scenes into our subconscious, they will lay the foundation for our journey to the 1,000-year world. To become a celestial, one must constantly envision beauty, especially the unparalleled landscapes of nature. The images reposted by Penglai Celestial and Shanghai Celestial have the same effect. To become a celestial, one must continuously transcend oneself, elevate oneself, step out of the self, step out of family and nation, step out of religion and politics, and step out of the human world. One must continuously eliminate the old self and refresh oneself, not be bound by fixed thought patterns, and open the heart to an expansive, boundless realm. One must firmly believe in the existence of the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world, and believe that through self-cultivation and refinement, one can reach the ideal celestial space. The more one explores, the more one gains. The more one minds, the richer one becomes. The more one comprehends, the more one becomes spiritually agile. The further one advances, the wider the path becomes. Nurturing the spirit of heaven and earth, loving nature and the rivers and mountains, cherishing each day, and focusing on the future of life. This is the path to becoming a celestial being. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 7, Transcending the Mundane and Progressing Through the Unconventional. Xiefeng. Laozi said, "He who places himself behind others comes to the fore, he who regards himself lightly preserves himself. Being brings advantage, but non-being enables function. The multitude are bright and clear, while I alone seem dull and confused, the multitude are sharp and alert, while I alone am murky and troubled. The common people all have their purposes, but I alone am stubborn and uncouth. All men have surplus, but I alone seem destitute. Precisely because I do not contend, no one in the world can contend with me. Knowing the male, yet keeping to the female, knowing the white, yet keeping to the black, knowing honor, yet keeping to humility. The highest virtue is not conscious of itself as virtue, and thus it is virtue. The inferior virtue never loses sight of virtue, and thus it is not virtue. The bright way seems dim, the way forward seems to go back, the smooth way seems rough. The great Tao is broad and level, yet people prefer shortcuts. Do without doing, work without effort, taste the flavorless. True words seem paradoxical. The way of the sage is to act without striving. To become a celestial being, one must transcend the worldly and progress through the unconventional. The mundane world can be summed up in one word, agitation. The mortal realm can be described with one word, noise. The celestial realm can be encapsulated in one phrase, tranquility. To transcend the worldly means to distance oneself from agitation and noise and return to tranquility. Agitation is a state of unrest, reckless scurrying, constant wavering, feeling irritable, uneasy, anxious, overwhelmed by desires, distressed by poverty, fearful of gains and losses, and submissive to power and status. It manifests as internal heat, mental turmoil, inability to stand still, sit steadily, walk straight, or sleep peacefully. This is not a clinical disorder but a Hell's Gate dance syndrome, caused by the grip of power, wealth, fame, and desire. Tumult is clamorous, chaotic, and restless, stirring up trouble, engaging in jealousy and envy, yelling and shouting, finding fault with everything, obsessing over gossip, judging others, indulging in emotional entanglements, and fixating on petty calculations. It is as if one is under a spell, becoming erratic, alternating between highs and lows, appearing intelligent yet foolish. This too is a disease, called delusional intelligence disorder. Those free from Hell's Gate dance syndrome and delusional intelligence disorder have taken the first step toward transcending the mundane. To progress through the unconventional means rejecting what the common folk embrace and embracing what they reject. If they go left, I go right; if they advance, I retreat; if they desire, I abandon; if they rejoice, I mourn; if they make noise, I remain silent; if they go out, I go in; if they discard, I use; if they value, I devalue; if they have, I lack; if they lack, I have; if they are righteous, I am unorthodox; if they hate, I love; if they are bright, I am dim; if they are perceptive, I am muddled; if they contend, I yield; if they perish, I endure. Reversing the values of the mundane world reveals the values of the celestial. Dharma, non-dharma, neither dharma nor non-dharma, good, not good, neither not good nor good. As the Wudang master Zhang Sanfeng said, amidst all this, one must invert and reverse. Below are some insights on progression through the unconventional. People recognize the divine as divine, yet they do not understand that it is through the absence of divinity that the divine manifests. The Yinfu classic of the Yellow Emperor. Knowing where to stop when one does not know is the highest wisdom. To pursue the infinite with the finite is folly. Zhuangzi. Accumulating gentleness leads to strength, accumulating weakness leads to power. Those who follow the Tao do not rely on ears, eyes, force, or will. Li Zi. To excel at what others neglect, to delight in what others dislike, to find joy in what others shun, to act where others hesitate, to believe what others doubt, and to tread paths others avoid. The Scripture of Western Ascension. The superior person does not contend, the inferior person delights in contention. The highest virtue does not claim virtue, the lesser virtue clings to virtue. Those who cling to virtue do not understand the Tao. The Scripture of constant purity and tranquility. By nourishing the formless, form endures, by guarding the intangible, essence remains pure. The unity of true form and essence leads to immortality. The ancient Scripture of the Supreme Lord. Refrain from all evil, perform all good deeds, and blessings will follow in time. The Treatise on Response and Retribution. One aspires to attain the Tao of immortality, not to exhaust the human realm. The wondrous Scripture of infinite salvation. The path to longevity is to neither see nor hear, neither flaunt nor seek glory, to abandon the world and the mundane, to preserve essence and spirit, to dwell in stillness and non-action. Thus, one attains the Tao. Annotations on the Primordial Lord's Ancient Scripture. The highest grade of people commits no offenses and holds on to nothing. The middle grade of people fluctuates between highs and lows, adapting to circumstances and disciplining themselves. The lowest grade of people is entangled in worldly matters and struggles to restrain themselves. The Jade Purity Scripture. Those who follow the Tao do not abandon their roots to chase the branches. If one is told the ultimate truth but refuses to believe, if one is taught the Tao but never practices it, then to the end of life, there is no benefit. How tragic. The Immortal Chronicles, the story of Pengzu. The Supreme Tao does not distinguish between near and far, my eyes do not discern between noble and base. Heaven and hell, both are creations of the mind. The 49 chapters of the Supreme Void Sovereign. Reversal is the movement of the Tao, yielding is the function of virtue. Turbidity leads to clarity, prolonged darkness gives rise to illumination. The Zhou Cantong Qi. My fate lies in my own hands, not in heaven. The inner chapters of Bio Puzi. When yin and yang do not interact, it harms the person. The record of nurturing nature and prolonging life. A day of leisure is a day of immortality. Face the world with an unattached heart, no need to seek Zen. The complete works of Luzu. If the external world dominates the mind, one remains mundane. If the mind dominates the external world, one attains immortality. Hao Taigu. If the heart is detached from affairs, affairs will not trouble the heart. The Secret Discourse on the Mysterious Pass. With a clear heart and a steady will, the path to heaven is open. The Golden Lotus Immortal Chronicles. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 8, Listen to the ethereal sound, awaken to the intrinsic Zen harmony. Xiefeng. Soaring over mountain barriers and traversing watery divides, sweeping past the vast expanse of the mortal world, one enters boundless silence, where the human realm ceases to exist, time and space vanish without a trace. The sun and moon are unseen, the clamor of the ages fades into nothingness, even one's own shadow is untraceable. Only the awareness of life flows in serene freedom. Do not think, do not give rise to desires, follow the soul's lead. Let no thoughts arise, fear no entrapments, unfold and retract with ease. In this space, the celestial fetus is about to be born, and the ethereal melody swirls in resonance. Stay calm, celestial music is descending. What sound is this? It is not the wind combing through bamboo, nor the warbling of orioles. There are no visible strings of a zither, nor the thundering of drums. It resembles flowing water, yet it is not the sound of water, it seems like the murmuring of swallows, yet it is not their call. It intoxicates, enchants, and bewilders, surpassing even the whispers of a lover beside one's ear. It makes bone marrow and cells dance in delight, filling the heart with infinite tenderness. Unheard in the human world, seldom known even in celestial realms, this is the ethereal harmony of life. Listening often to the ethereal tune purifies the soul, clears the mind, and calms the spirit. It removes worldly impurities, sheds the mortal shell, grants entry to the celestial realm, dissipates confusion, unveils mysteries, and conveys profound, inexpressible truths. This ethereal music is not heard through the ears, it is both the resonance of the celestial realm and the flowing of consciousness of one's own life structure. The more perfect the structure, the more beautiful the sound. The ethereal melody can only be heard by oneself, friends nearby cannot grasp it, nor can the lover sharing one's bed. One may hear the surface layer of the ethereal harmony amidst flowers under the moonlight, beside a murmuring brook, in the land of tenderness, or in the vastness of the mountains. One may hear its deeper layers in utter tranquility, when untouched by dust, with a mind free of distractions, lost in deep meditation. When the soul leaves the body, when self and form are no more, when divine light flashes, when there is neither beginning nor end, one may hear the ethereal music of heaven. The ethereal sound is the intrinsic Zen melody, it can only be comprehended, never duplicated. It is the presence within absence, the absence within presence, the elusive yet authentic essence of life itself. To hear the ethereal harmony marks one's first steps on the path to immortality. Though still far from the celestial realm, the dawn of hope has already appeared. This is one of the 8 great mysteries of life. An egg that is never incubated remains an egg forever. If it is not transformed in time, a fresh egg turns stale, and a fragrant egg becomes foul. The human world on earth is the womb of life. A chick hatches from its egg through warmth, and a human must cultivate and refine themselves to become a celestial being. The revelations of the greatest creator, the words of gods and Buddhas, these are the warmth that nurtures transformation. One must grasp them through personal insight. Listening constantly to the ethereal tune, awakening to the intrinsic Zen harmony, this is the process of incubation. A chick breaks out of its shell in 21 days, a human, nurtured in the loving grace of the greatest creator and gods, emerges from the mortal world in 81 days, reborn as a celestial. Listen to the ethereal sound, awaken to the intrinsic Zen melody. When the moment of hatching arrives, you will have transformed into a chick. In the movie Tunnel Warfare, there is a famous line, "Our tunnels are right here in the house, go ahead and find them." Now, in the same spirit, I say. The mysteries of life lie within the sound, go ahead and find them. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 9, Deep Roots and a Firm Foundation for Longevity and Enduring Vision. Xie Feng. The Celestial Master Laozi said. This is called deep roots and a firm foundation, the way to longevity and enduring vision. The grass on the vast plains withers and flourishes year after year. Wildfires cannot kill it, with the spring breeze, it comes back to life again. Why? Because it has deep roots. Amidst towering cliffs and mountain ranges, pines and cypresses stand evergreen, unyielding through the harshest winters, defying the bitter northwest wind. Why? Because their roots run deep. For 5,000 years, Chinese civilization has endured without interruption. Great talents have emerged in every generation, standing tall among the nations. Why? Because of the profound roots of its culture. Xie Feng is not merely Xie Feng. Emerging from the primordial Hundun, he has traversed the realms of Yin and Yang. Life Achanuan was born through him. Why? Because of his deep spiritual roots. Thus, to attain longevity and celestial transformation, one must establish deep roots and a firm foundation. What are the roots? The way of the greatest creator is the root. What is the foundation? The teachings of gods and Buddhas are the foundation. To cultivate deep roots and a firm foundation is to walk the path of the greatest creator, awaken one's innate spiritual consciousness, heed the teachings of Jesus and Shakyamuni, perceive the vastness of the universe, pursue supreme enlightenment, transcend the 3 realms, break free from the 5 elements, comprehend the formless, and return to the source, merging one's finite life into the infinite dimensions of existence. The reeds upon the wall, top-heavy and rootless, sway with every gust. The bamboo shoots in the mountains, sharp-tipped, thick-skinned, yet hollow within. Worldly people rush about, blind to the divine. Mundane folk, caught in endless folly, mock those who seek the truth. Esteemed scholars, lost in superficial pursuits, flail about in confusion. Devout followers, trapped in dogma, toil in vain on the path. Observing the masses of the secular world scrambling like flies drawn to blood and ants fighting over crumbs, one sees people waging battles atop a snail's horn and vying for dominance in the fleeting spark of time. Alas! A beautiful life dissolves into illusion. Tragic. Precious time is squandered in delusion. Ridiculous. Swaying and stumbling with shallow roots. I urge you, pause, reflect, and look back. Those who do not lose their origin endure. Those who die yet do not perish attain longevity. One's origin is home. The so-called home is the source of life itself, the innate Buddha nature. To preserve one's true nature and return to the source is to not lose one's origin. In doing so, one transcends death, attains longevity, and roams freely across the boundless universe. Some say the path to immortality is a deception. I say such people are like drifting clouds, ever changing. Lacking understanding of life and shallow in their foundation. How could they possibly grasp the mysteries of existence? To cultivate deep roots and a firm foundation. Recite the morning scripture, noon scripture, evening scripture, and night scripture. Contemplate the 8 heart practices of Life Genuine. Follow the guide to uncover the 8 great secrets. Contribute often to Life Genuine's mission. Stillness breeds wisdom, restlessness breeds confusion. Hardship leads to inner peace, indulgence fosters recklessness. May the reader embrace humility, reflect in stillness. Cultivate deep roots and a firm foundation. And lay the groundwork for transcending suffering and achieving celestial transformation. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 10, Entering the Virtual Space. Xiefeng. The images in our minds are virtual, the subconscious space is virtual, the space where our thoughts wander when we close our eyes is virtual, the online space is virtual, and even the space of the heavenly Elysium world is virtual. We already know that when the physical body dies, the spiritual body of life immediately enters another space, a space that, to us in the material world, is also virtual. In truth, virtual space is not truly virtual, rather, it is the non-material world, distinct from the material world. The non-material world is far vaster, more magnificent, and more suited to the free existence of life than the material world. It is an undeniable fact that every person has their own virtual space of love and affection. It is also an undeniable fact that everyone dreams, and dreams are a virtual space. Our past exists in virtual space, and so does our future. Apart from the present moment, which we perceive through vision, hearing, taste, smell, and touch as real space, everything else exists in virtual space. We have always pursued what is real, but reality is fleeting, it is but a passing cloud. Therefore, to attain immortality, one must break through the barrier of reality and return to the virtual. Only by grasping the virtual can one truly exist in the ultimate reality. Cultivating immortality requires mastering how to enter virtual space. When our consciousness is completely immersed in virtual space 24 hours a day, and we entirely forget the existence of our physical body and the material world, we have essentially achieved our goal in cultivation. Let us take the home of Chanyuan Celestials as an example. This home is an illusory and intangible place, we cannot see its members physically, but we can sense their spiritual presence rather than their physical bodies. Yet, this virtual space has a tangible impact. When our thoughts and hearts enter this virtual home, a sense of freedom, warmth, harmony, and love fills the air, making it hard to leave and difficult to resist its allure. How we wish to abandon our physical bodies and always gather in this virtual space. However, when we leave the virtual space and return to the real world, troubles and burdens follow. It feels as though we have fallen from heaven back to the human world, with feelings of helplessness, constraints, depression, and boredom overwhelming us. We clearly know that this human world is not our true home and that everything we own will ultimately vanish into dust, yet we are still compelled to toil and struggle for this illusory reality. It is undoubtedly a tragedy, yet we are powerless to escape playing these unfortunate roles. Cultivating immortality is about escaping this unfortunate role, breaking free from this helpless script, and striving to live a free and unrestrained life. It is about working toward an eternal existence in an ideal environment and society. The biggest challenge is that our spiritual senses have not fully awakened. Our vision and hearing cannot perceive the wonders of the non-material world. Once freed from the constraints of the physical body, we will have a more beautiful place to live beyond this world. But how do we prove its existence? And how can we be certain that we will be able to live there? This is why cultivation is necessary. Through cultivation, we come to recognize the true existence of this virtual space and confirm that we can indeed enter it and live freely within it. Without solving this fundamental issue, all teachings are empty words, and all cultivation is ultimately futile. Although we cannot see it yet and cannot fully determine our future after death, we can faintly sense it. Though we may not be able to articulate it clearly, our subconscious seems to be guiding us toward it, subtly and indistinctly. Through our experiences with the home of Chanyuan Celestials, we can also weekly verify the wonders of entering virtual space. If we could survive without eating or drinking, if we were free from all worldly distractions, we would likely prefer to spend all our time in the home of Chanyuan Celestials. If our consciousness could transcend the physical body and permanently dwell in that space, I believe we would gladly choose to live in the virtual world. Only in this virtual space can we truly break free from mundane constraints, fully express our individuality, and live freely according to our highest aspirations and ideals. Humans can indeed live within their consciousness, within virtual space. The Celestial Islands continent of the Elysium world is itself a virtual space. The key is understanding how to enter this space in a real way and eternally enjoy the heavenly life it offers. Currently, the home of Chanyuan Celestials is not yet an ideal place, it has merely transcended the mundane to some extent. Because we still lack perfect human nature and continue to carry the habits of worldly people, even though this space draws us in and fills us with longing, it is still far from an ideal society. Not to mention the Elysium world and the 10,000-year world, even the 1,000-year world remains distant. If all members of the home of Chanyuan Celestials possessed a relatively perfect human nature, then it would become a virtual replica of the 1,000-year world on Earth. At that point, we would never want to leave it. I have said many times before that I know exactly how to enter the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world. This is absolutely not deception. If someone follows my guidance unwaveringly, without a doubt, they can attain the qualities of celestial beings and ultimately enter the Elysium world. If I were making this claim based on just this one article, it might be considered deceitful. However, anyone who truly understands Life Chanyuan can sense that I possess this spiritual wisdom. I am not an ordinary person in the conventional sense. I have always been guiding. The reason I do not fully reveal everything is that people's spiritual merit is not yet sufficient. To attain perfect spirituality requires more than a brief effort. Many people abandon everything and dedicate their entire lives to cultivating immortality or Buddhism. Yet, most of you have followed me for only a year. The fruit is not only unripe, it has not even fully grown, nor has it taken shape. I cannot forcefully pluck an immature fruit from the vine. In truth, I am anxious, more anxious than you. I wish I could take everyone to the Celestial Islands continent and let you experience heavenly life tomorrow. But the time is not yet ripe. For now, I hope everyone will immerse themselves in virtual space as much as possible, understand its role, and gradually break free from the constraints of the physical body and worldly human nature. Follow your highest ideals and enter the imagined virtual world. Do not ask what purpose this serves, just do it. The vision and imagery that Qingxin Celestial has created for a utopian paradise have a profound impact on the future of life. Learning to live in virtual space, allowing the heart and mind to transition into a virtual state in advance, this is a more important method of cultivating immortality than reading scriptures. Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 11, Stepping Out of Reality and Beginning Transformation. Xiefeng. The purpose of celestial cultivation is to leave the troubled human world and live in the spaces where celestials reside, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world. The question is, how can we clearly depart from the human world and consciously enter these spaces? This article reveals one of the secrets to transforming from a human into a celestial. Everything perceived by the five senses is a product of our consciousness. The myriad phenomena of the universe we perceive are illusions, not reality. These illusions shift with our consciousness, remaining transient and elusive. We cannot grasp a cloud, nor can we control the earth. We are powerless in the face of the complex phenomena of human society because all of these are mere reflections of divine spirits and human consciousness. Our arrival in the human world is neither the fault of the divine nor of others, it is the result of our own consciousness. The towering cities are products of human consciousness. The computers, telephones, mobile devices, transportation tools, clothing, and food we use are all products of human consciousness. Without such consciousness, none of these would exist. Monkeys and apes cannot create computers or build cities simply because they lack this consciousness. Whether it is reservoirs, nuclear power plants, particle accelerators, or space stations, all are products of human consciousness. Our reality is created by ourselves. The nature of our consciousness determines the nature of our reality. Parents, children, relatives, and friends are also creations of our consciousness. If these relationships did not exist in our consciousness, we would not have come to the human world. We marry because we desire marriage, we have children because we desire children. If we had no desire for marriage or children, then marriage and parenthood would never occur in our lives. A thief commits theft because theft exists in their consciousness. A virtuous person does not steal because the thought of stealing never exists in their consciousness. Mao Zedong became chairman of the country because he had the consciousness of becoming chairman. Billionaires accumulate wealth because they have the consciousness of acquiring great riches. Why were the people so poor during Mao Zedong's era? It was because most of the leaders came from impoverished backgrounds and never had the consciousness of living in wealth. After the reform and opening up, some Chinese people quickly became wealthy because they desired wealth and enjoyed making money. Yet, more than a decade later, some former poverty alleviation officials remained destitute because they never had the consciousness or methods to acquire wealth. The nature of our consciousness determines the nature of our lives, this is an unshakable truth. People from northern China, especially in Shaanxi, Gansu, and Ningxia, can make hundreds of different foods using flour, while people from northeast China and the south cannot. The reason is simple. The consciousness of making such foods does not exist in their minds. A simple teacup has nearly 30 different uses, yet we only use it as a drinking vessel because we have never considered its other functions. Humans can become celestials, but the vast majority do not believe this. Why? Because the thought of becoming a celestial does not exist in their consciousness. They have never considered it, just as monkeys have never contemplated becoming human. If the thought does not exist, if the idea is absent, then it can never be realized. One of the secrets to becoming a celestial is that our consciousness must first create the future, it must create the celestial world. We must first envision ourselves as celestials. As Taiji Celestial said, the way one thinks determines the form of one's existence. This is the key to celestial transformation. If we constantly imagine ourselves living in the 1,000-year world, over time, our life structure will evolve toward that existence. When the time is ripe and all conditions are met, we will naturally transition to the 1,000-year world. To others, it may seem as though we have passed on, but in truth, we have transcended the human world and entered the celestial world to embrace the life of celestials. If our consciousness contains no concept of the 1,000-year world, we cannot go there. Any wishful thinking or blind attempts to stumble upon it are self-deceptions. The law of the Tao is precise and unyielding. I intend to guide all Chanyuan celestials to the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. This may sound mysterious and profound, but in reality, it is quite simple. There are only a few essential secrets. If they are never spoken, people will never think of them. But once revealed, even a primary school student can understand them. Who could have imagined that energy equals mass times the speed of light squared? Who could have foreseen that an apple falling to the ground is due to gravity? Who could have envisioned that the spirit of the greatest creator permeates all movements across all dimensions of time and space? Our consciousness is trapped within conventional thinking, bound by the ever-changing phenomena of the universe. We rarely look beyond appearances to understand the essence of these changes. If our thinking cannot break free from reality, if we cannot step beyond its boundaries, we will never become celestials. Even imagining it will be difficult. Everything I have written serves only as a guide. If someone truly understands the mysteries of life and the Tao, then all that I have written is mere rubbish. Even the Bible, Buddhist scriptures, and the Tao Te Ching would be nothing but trash. The question is, without such trash, how could we ever grasp the mysteries of life and the Tao? We are lost in illusion, yet we refuse to admit it. We live in a world of illusions, yet we cling to these illusions with such devotion and obsession that we cannot extricate ourselves. Even at the moment of death, we refuse to turn back. Once we die, everything in the material world ceases to exist for us. After a lifetime of toil, we leave with nothing. Yet we continue to struggle, stubbornly deceiving ourselves and others. People are obsessed with competing, fighting, and possessing, finding it both exciting and deeply sorrowful. Laozi understood this profoundly. He said his teachings were easy to understand and follow, yet no one was willing to understand or follow them. So, he simply became a celestial himself. A sage once said, "Whenever humans start thinking, the greatest creator laughs." I would argue that this depends on what one is thinking about. If your thoughts revolve around how to find a spouse, have children, bring honor to your ancestors, win glory for your country, amass wealth, climb the political ladder, overthrow the government, or expand your personal fame, then not only would the greatest creator laugh, but even sages would find it amusing. However, if we contemplate how to extend our lives from the human world to the celestial realms, then the greatest creator will not mock us, nor will the sages ridicule us, for we have awakened. We have begun to understand something. But what is it that we have truly understood? Reality emerges from the mind, chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 12. Xiefeng. June 7, 2006. Let me begin by sharing a few stories. There was once a sculptor who immersed himself in sculpting a life-sized, lifelike statue of an extraordinarily beautiful woman. He sculpted according to the image in his heart, meticulously crafting an unparalleled beauty. From the moment this image took shape in his mind, he was captivated by the celestial maiden within. He conversed with her with deep affection, indulging in delightful moments through his thoughts. Throughout the sculpting process, he remained wholeheartedly focused, pouring his essence, energy, spirit, heart, and mind into his creation. With each meticulous chisel stroke, the image imprinted itself upon his soul. When he finally delivered the last strike, the celestial maiden came to life. Strictly speaking, the statue remained a statue, but its non-material essence emerged from it, forming an eternal bond with the sculptor, ultimately achieving the fruition of immortality. Hard to believe. Yet, the essence of faith taught by Jesus Christ is embedded in this tale. There was once a miraculous painter renowned for his mastery in painting celestial cranes. One day, In front of a large audience, he painted a crane on a wall. As soon as he finished, the crane soared into the heavens. No matter how many he painted, each one left the wall and took flight into the sky. Does it sound fantastical? I can tell you this is but a trivial skill, the most cumbersome method. The supreme art lies in the cultivation of the mind. The super celestial UE from Snow Peak Island, in the Celestial Islands continent, has demonstrated the miraculous power of this mental practice. Have you heard the story of Liang Shanbua and Zhu Yingtai? The writer depicted their transformation into radiant butterflies, fluttering in the air. In reality, when lightning struck and thunder roared, a sudden bolt of lightning cracked open Zhu Yingtai's tomb, and as Liang Shanbua leaped into it, they fulfilled the final rite, ascending together into the celestial realm. In the Celestine prophecy, the 9 great mysteries of the universe are revealed. Here are a few excerpts for your appreciation. They can't see us. Sanchez said. We are vibrating too highly. We turned to see Will walking quickly toward us. As we watched, he seemed to say something else, but this time the words were completely unintelligible. I realized I was having trouble focusing. His image was becoming hazy, distorted. Gradually, as I stared in disbelief, he disappeared altogether. Julia said, the 9th insight says that while some individuals may cross over sporadically, a general rapture will not occur until we have abolished fear, until we can maintain a sufficient vibration in all situations. The more beauty we can see, the more we evolve. The more we evolve, the higher we vibrate. The 9th insight shows us that ultimately, our increased perception and vibration will open us to a heaven that is already before us. We just can't see it yet. Fascinating, isn't it? Although the author emphasizes the frequency of thinking, in reality, this is the inevitable result of a purified soul. The characters in the book who ascend into immortality are all individuals who single-mindedly seek the mysteries of life. They progress from the first insight to the 9th, eventually entering heaven before the eyes of all. For those who have never practiced mental and spiritual cultivation, the notion of becoming a celestial being may seem completely nonsensical. Yet, as consciousness rises, thinking sharpens, and the soul purifies, particularly with a deeper understanding of the non-material world, immortality becomes a seamless and inevitable process, as natural as the turning of the seasons. Illness arises from the mind, and reality is shaped by the heart. A pure soul wields the power to channel energy. A single tiny mirror may seem insignificant, but when many mirrors focus their light on a single point, the concentrated energy can set wood ablaze or bring water to a boil. This is the very principle of solar stoves. A sculptor can breathe life into a statue, and a miraculous painter can bring his cranes to life and send them soaring into the sky, all through the power of the soul. The existence of physical forms is the result of the interaction and evolution of structure, consciousness, and energy, with consciousness playing a crucial role. The soul is the core component of consciousness. The environment one resides in is directly related to their soul. The purer and more beautiful the soul, the higher the vibrational frequency of thought, and the more wondrous the space one inhabits. This is the fundamental principle behind the possibility of achieving celestial immortality. Taiji thinking has already revealed to us that where there is matter, there is also non-material. Just as there are beings visible to the naked eye, there are also those that remain unseen. It is akin to the scenes one experiences in dreams. Only by entering the non-material world can one witness its wonders. This should now be clear. Reality stems from the heart. To attain celestial immortality, one's soul must be pure. Visualized thinking is the activity of the soul, and the outcome of this activity is the great secret to achieving immortality. I have already pierced the veil. The rest is up to you. A Journey Through Time and Space to the Fairyland, Story 1. Hundun Celestial. April 16, 2006. In the 5th year of Emperor Ming of the Han Dynasty's Yongping era, 62 AD, Lu Chen and Ruan Zhao, two men from Yen County, ventured into the Tiantai Mountains to collect medicinal herbs. They followed familiar mountain trails, trekking through the wilderness. At midday, the peaks and valleys were suddenly enveloped in thick mist. Before long, they lost their way, wandering through dense forests and overgrown grass, unable to find the path home. For 13 days, they roamed the mountains. Their provisions were completely depleted, forcing them to survive on wild fruits. One day, the mist finally cleared, and brilliant sunlight bathed the forest. Suddenly, they spotted a towering peach tree laden with large peaches on the opposite mountain. Overcome with hunger and exhaustion, they rushed toward the tree without hesitation. However, the tree grew on a cliffside, and they had to climb precarious branches and vines, risking their lives to reach it. At last, they managed to climb onto the tree. Famished, they quickly plucked the peaches and devoured them ravenously. The peaches were crisp and juicy, bringing them immense delight. After eating more than a dozen, they felt completely rejuvenated. They picked a few more and stored them in their satchels before continuing to climb. Eventually, they reached the peak and gazed into the distance, taking in the vast expanse before them. Towering emerald peaks rose in layers, shrouded in a haze of purple mist. The landscape was pristine, and the air was crisp and refreshing. Descending the mountain, they came across a crystal-clear stream gurgling through the valley. They knelt by the water, cupped their hands to drink, and washed their faces. Instantly, they felt a surge of energy and pure joy. Just as they were about to leave, they noticed vegetable leaves floating downstream, with sesame rice grains clinging to them. Realizing that there must be people living upstream, they decided to follow the stream. After walking for about 2 or 3 miles, a magnificent, shimmering lake suddenly appeared before them. White cranes soared above, and gentle ripples danced across the water, an idyllic paradise. As they approached the lakeside, a breathtaking scene unfolded before their eyes. 2 graceful and dignified young women of mesmerizing, ethereal beauty were gracefully bathing in the lake. As Lu and Ruan drew near, the 2 women rose from the water with effortless grace. Crystal-clear droplets sparkled like pearls as they trickled down their raven-black hair, delicate faces, and willow-like figures. Smiling, they spoke in unison, "Lu and Ruan, today is a joyous occasion for us. Come, take off your clothes and join us for a bath." Hearing their names spoken by 2 strangers, Lu and Ruan were momentarily stunned. But upon closer look, the women seemed oddly familiar, as if they had seen them before. Unable to resist, they removed their clothes and entered the lake. The 2 enchanting women moved closer and gently helped them bathe, their soft hands gliding over their bodies. A wave of indescribable pleasure surged through them, as if they had been reborn. After their bath, they dressed and followed the women home to rest. The house stood enclosed by a fence of red willows, its roof adorned with bamboo tiles. Inside, soft lighting cast a warm, inviting glow, and the room felt airy and comfortable. 2 large beds stood against the southern and northern walls, draped in pale blue silk canopies, with silver wind chimes dangling from each corner. As the breeze whispered through the room, the chimes sang with crisp, melodious notes. Adorned with emeralds, agates, and other gemstones, the room exuded an air of opulence. By each bed stood more than a dozen handmaidens, their beauty as delicate and radiant as moonlit fairies. The 2 women gently guided the handmaidens. "Our esteemed guests, Lu and Ruan, have traveled far and endured much. Even after eating some celestial peaches, they must still be tired and famished. Prepare a grand feast at once." The handmaidens bustled about, and soon, a lavish banquet was laid before them. Apart from sesame rice, the dishes were completely unfamiliar to them. The 2 celestial women gracefully served them food and wine, treating them like honored kings. Before long, a group of maidens arrived, each carrying a tray with a massive ginseng fruit. In unison, they sang, "Congratulations to our 2 elder sisters. Today, we rejoice in the arrival of your husbands. To mark this joyous occasion, we have gathered 4 celestial fruits for you and your beloveds to savor. As their words faded, the maidens began to dance, a performance of utmost allure and seduction. As Lu and Ruan savored the celestial fruits and watched the enchanting dance, they felt an exhilarating surge of vitality bursting forth within them, washing away all traces of weariness. It was as if a fountain of youthful energy had been unleashed, filling them with boundless vigor. Time slipped away swiftly, and as night descended, the 2 celestial women tenderly guided them to their respective beds, gently untying their robes. The sight of their luminous, ethereal bodies, the delicate whispers that caressed their ears, and the intoxicating fragrance that filled the air, all intertwined into a night of unbridled ecstasy. Their passion raged like a waterfall plunging from a towering peak, at times a violent tempest with howling winds and torrential rain, at times a tender embrace of gentle breezes and misty drizzles. It was really, the most breathtaking views are found on the perilous peaks, and a silver torrent cascades 3,000 feet, as though the Milky Way has fallen from the 9th heaven. Lu and Ruan stayed in this celestial paradise for over 10 days, casting aside all worldly troubles. However, one day, a sudden yearning for the mortal world arose, and they expressed their desire to return home. The 2 celestial women, their eyes filled with tender affection, pleaded with them with endless affection, their voices soft and imploring. And so, they remained for another 6 months. Yet, in the end, their longing for their families proved too strong to ignore, and they firmly insisted on leaving the celestial realm. With no other choice, the celestial women held a grand farewell banquet, filled with music and dance, before reluctantly showing them the way home. Guided by the celestial women, Lu and Ruan struggled through the dense mountains and forests, finally returning to their long-lost homeland. To their utter astonishment, they found that their former relatives and friends had all passed away, and the familiar sights of their past had been replaced by an entirely new world. After much effort, they managed to locate descendants from their family line, 7 generations removed. It is said that in the 8th year of Emperor Xiaowu of the Eastern Jin Dynasty's Taiyuan era, the 2 men left their hometown once more, never to be seen or heard from again. No one knew where they had gone. A Journey Through Time and Space to the Fairyland, Story 2. Xiefeng. According to Dan Tai Lu and the Book of the Later Han, there was once a man selling medicine on the streets of Runan. His surname was Xie, and his given name was Yuan Yi. Because he always carried a pot with him wherever he went, people called him Pot Elder, Hu Gong. Pot Elder made a living by selling medicine, but no one knew what ingredients his medicine was made from. He always hung his pot on his stall, within easy reach, as he conducted business. His medicine had no fixed price, wealthy buyers had to pay more, while poor buyers could obtain it for much less. Dishonest people were charged a high price, whereas honest people paid very little. He was firm in his pricing and never allowed bargaining. His medicine was highly effective, boasting an exceptional cure rate, which made his business flourish. He kept only a portion of his earnings for his own living expenses, donating the rest to the poor. Pot Elder's unusual behavior eventually caught the attention of a minor government official named Fei Changfang. Coincidentally, Fei Changfang lived right across the street from where Pot Elder usually set up his stall, giving him the perfect opportunity to observe Pot Elder's every move. Over time, he noticed that Pot Elder's residence contained no bed. Whenever he peeked inside at night, he never saw Pot Elder himself, only his pot, hanging in the center of the room. This deepened Fei Changfang's curiosity. Where did Pot Elder sleep at night? What was the purpose of that empty pot? Determined to uncover the mystery, Fei Changfang paid even closer attention to Pot Elder and began secretly following him. One evening, Fei Changfang hid inside Pot Elder's house in advance. He saw Pot Elder return from selling medicine, hang up his pot, and immediately leap into it. He remained inside the pot until the next morning, when he jumped out again and, without eating or drinking, went straight out to sell medicine. Although Fei Changfang had discovered Pot Elder's secret, he could not fathom how such a large man could fit inside such a small pot. Convinced that Pot Elder was no ordinary person, he resolved to uncover the truth. To get closer to Pot Elder and learn his secret, Fei Changfang began sweeping the area around Pot Elder's stall every morning before he arrived. He also brought him delicious food and wine each day, though Pot Elder never accepted any of it. Still, Fei Changfang persisted, sweeping and delivering food daily for 6 months. At last, his dedication moved Pot Elder. One day, Pot Elder said to him, "Come to my house tomorrow evening." Fei Changfang could hardly contain his excitement. The next day, he arrived early and waited outside Pot Elder's house. When Pot Elder returned from selling medicine, he led Fei Changfang inside, hung up his pot, and, without another word, took Fei Changfang's hand and leaped into the pot with him. In an instant, Fei Changfang felt a chilling gust of wind, forcing him to shut his eyes. When the sensation passed, he opened them and found himself in an ethereal fairyland. Pavilions and towers stood gracefully amidst lush greenery, birds chirped in harmonious delight, and the scenery was breathtaking. They arrived at a courtyard where celestial maidens and youths stood attentively on either side, ready to serve. The table was laden with the finest delicacies and exquisite wines. Fei Changfang indulged alongside Pot Elder, experiencing an indescribable sense of peace and bliss. Just as he was beginning to take in the beauty of it all, Pot Elder suddenly pulled his hand, and in an instant, they leaped out of the pot. Looking around, Fei Changfang felt as if he had fallen from a world of vibrant color into a dull, black and white existence, like descending from heaven into hell. Pot Elder then said, "To tell you the truth, I am originally from the celestial realm. Due to my mistakes, I was exiled to the human world to sell medicine as a form of atonement. Now that my time here is over, I will soon leave this world. You have served me with great devotion over the past 6 months, and I cannot leave your kindness unrewarded. Today, I have shown you the fairyland as my way of repaying you. I hope you will continue doing good deeds, seek immortality, and cultivate virtue. If you complete your spiritual practice, we shall meet again in the celestial realm." With that, Pot Elder collapsed to the ground and passed away. Fei Changfang took care of his funeral arrangements. It is said that from that day forward, Fei Changfang became a firm believer in the pursuit of immortality. Not long after, he left his home, and no one ever knew where he went. Self-harmony, one of the essential qualities of super-celestial beings in the Celestial Islands. Xiefeng. December 6, 2009. To enter the Celestial Islands continent of heaven, one must attain the fruit of super-celestial being. To attain the fruit of super-celestial, one must possess the life structure of a super-celestial being. Self-harmony is one of the 8 essential qualities required for the life structure of super-celestial beings. What is self-consistency? Self-harmony means forming a complete and self-sufficient system within oneself, lacking nothing, operating in perfect internal harmony, and fulfilling all needs without relying on external factors. Self-harmony is the perfection of one's intrinsic light. As stated in the Prajnaparamita Daya Sutra, the Heart Sutra. They are not born or destroyed. Nor are they stained or pure. Nor do they wax or wane. Therefore, in emptiness. No form, no feeling, thought, or choice. Nor is there consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch. Or object of the mind. No realm of sight. No realm of consciousness. No ignorance. And no end to ignorance. No old age and death. And no end to old age and death. No suffering, no cause of suffering. No ceasing of suffering, no path to follow. No wisdom, and no gain. No gain, thus the Bodhisattvas. Live this Prajnaparamita. With no hindrance in the mind. No hindrance, therefore no fear. Far beyond delusive thoughts. This is nirvana. The Platform Sutra states, all dharmas are inseparable from one's own nature. How pure is one's own nature, originally unstained. How unchanging is one's own nature, originally beyond birth and death. How complete is one's own nature, originally self-sufficient. How unwavering is one's own nature, originally unshaken. How miraculous is one's own nature, it gives rise to all dharmas. Self-harmony is as described in Bodhidharma's Bloodstream sermon. There is no Buddha outside the mind, no Buddha outside one's nature. It neither arises nor ceases, neither increases nor decreases, neither becomes tainted nor pure, neither good nor evil, neither comes nor goes. There is no right or wrong, no male or female, no monk or layperson, no old or young. There is no distinction between saint and commoner, no Buddha and no sentient beings, no practice and no realization, no cause and no effect, no strength and no form. Like empty space, it cannot be grasped or abandoned. Mountains, rivers, and stone walls cannot obstruct it. It comes and goes freely, possessing miraculous powers, passing through the mountains of the five aggregates and crossing the river of life and death. Its nature is originally pure and cannot be defiled. The Dharma body is originally beyond sensation, without hunger, thirst, heat, cold, illness, affection, kinship, suffering, joy, likes, dislikes, short or long, strong or weak. Self-harmony is the essence of Tathagata, no self, no person, no sentient being, no lifespan, no dharma, and no non-dharma. Self-harmony is ethereal and obscure, subtle and wondrous, the profound and the minute, the union of male and female, the interplay of yin and yang, the supreme ultimate, Taiji. How to cultivate the quality of self-consistency. Manifest all phenomena and create all dharmas with the mind. That is, consciousness creates reality. Life is death, and death is life. Honor is disgrace, and disgrace is honor. Be unbound by life, death, honor, and disgrace. Know the masculine yet abide by the feminine, know the light yet embrace the darkness. Emptiness is form, and form is emptiness. Reduce consciousness to zero and let the soul return to emptiness, spirit, and grace. Everything is but a game, only life is real. Cling to nothing. Have nothing yet possess everything. Transcend time and space, roam freely like a celestial steed. Follow your nature, indulge in imagination. Be unrestrained, go with the flow, and wander at ease. Be in a state of Hundun, neither inside nor outside, neither bound nor limitless, neither right nor wrong, neither true nor false, neither good nor evil. Let the real be like a dream and illusion, and let the illusory be reasonable and emotionally resonant. The qualities of super-celestial beings cannot be understood by mortals, nor comprehended through logic, nor proven by science, nor verified by facts. Yet, they can be sensed through spiritual intuition and personally experienced. They are exquisitely blissful and beyond words. Only through self-harmony can one attain the kingdom of freedom. Any reliance on external factors ultimately leads to a lack of freedom. Frequently transcend the constraints of the physical body, material world, emotions, and fame. Listen to the ethereal melodies of the void, perceive the true Zen tunes, let the scenery imprint upon your heart, and let your heart enter an illusory realm. Seek the utmost beauty, and over time, self-harmony will be fully cultivated. I came from the kingdom of heaven and shall return to the kingdom of heaven. Passing through the human world, I leave no trace in my heart. The world has never contained me, I have never belonged to the world. When the dream ends, I shall return to my true self. Returning to truth is being in the celestial islands. All phenomena arise from the mind transcends all phenomena. When the eyes open, myriad phenomena arise, when the eyes close, myriad phenomena cease. When phenomena arise, play the game, when phenomena disappear, return to the true self. Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisvaha. Mahjong, Hundun, and Chinese culture. Xiefeng. September 29, 2007. The root of Chinese culture is chaos, or rather, the major vein of Chinese culture is chaos, culture rather than Confucianism, Buddhism, or Taoism. Chaos, culture is fully aligned with the Tao of the greatest creator. However, chaos implies disorder, which makes it difficult to accurately convey the way of the greatest creator. For this reason, I regard the root of Chinese culture as Hundun culture. Many Chinese intellectuals have written articles calling for the revival of Chinese culture. After reading their articles, I feel bewildered and ask them in writing, which part of Chinese culture do you want to revitalize? None of them can provide a clear answer or explanation. This shows that those who call for a revival of Chinese culture only have good intentions but lack a clear understanding of what Chinese culture truly is. In essence, Chinese culture is Hundun culture, and the revival of Chinese culture means the revival of Hundun culture. Fuxi is regarded as the cultural ancestor of the Chinese nation, whose main cultural contributions are the Hichu Luoshu and the Bagua, 8 trigrams. Traditional Chinese cultural elements such as Taiji, the Bagua, 8 trigrams, the Book of Changes, I Ching, Liujia, Jiuxing, and Feng Shui all trace their origins to his teachings. Hichu Luoshu also forms the foundation for the theory of meridians and acupuncture points in traditional Chinese medicine, as well as for disciplines such as the Book of Changes, I Ching, Feng Shui, the principles of yin and yang and the 5 elements, Batzi, 8 characters of birth time, Zaiwidishu, date selection, divination, and necromancy. The Hichu Luoshu embodies the Hundunic phenomenon, depicting the cosmic vision Fuxi attained through his spiritual connection and unity with the universe. The essence of Hundun is the holographic nature of the universe. It is vast enough to encompass everything yet small enough to exclude nothing. Every phenomenon and every object has a Hundunic connection to the universe. Nothing exists independently, and no phenomenon occurs in isolation. To illustrate this more vividly, the flapping of a butterfly's wings in Alaska may trigger a storm at the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, and a cough from an Inuit in the Arctic could cause someone in Australia to fall from a building. Through my analysis of human thinking, I have discovered that the most profound form of thinking is Hundunic thinking, followed by formless thinking, Taiji thinking, visualized thinking, illusory thinking, and so on. Confucian thinking is materialistic thinking, the most basic level of thinking. Taoist thinking aligns with Taiji thinking, Buddhist thinking corresponds to formless thinking, and Western thinking, rooted in science and technology, primarily consists of image-based and associative thinking. The prevailing New Age thinking, exemplified by works such as Seth's teachings, Conversations with God, The Law of One, The Disappearance of the Universe, and A Course in Miracles, belongs to illusory thinking. Ultimately, humanity must embrace Hundunic thinking, inheriting, continuing, and promoting Hundun culture. We can approach Hundun culture through 4 key elements: revelation, the 8 trigrams, Huzi, and Mahjong. Revelation means observing the celestial phenomena in the sky, studying the laws of the earth, studying the patterns of animals and plants, examining oneself and the immediate surroundings, and contemplating external things and the distant world. In other words, it allows direct dialogue with the greatest creator. My work, The Chapter of Revelation, may serve as an introduction for others to explore deeper insights. The Bagua, 8 trigrams, illustrate the process. Wuji generates Taiji, and Taiji generates Yin and Yang. Yin and Yang generate the 4 symbols generate the 8 trigrams, the 8 trigrams generate the 64 hexagrams, and the 64 hexagrams give rise to all phenomena in the universe. By comprehending the transformations of the 64 hexagrams, one can grasp the interplay between change and permanence and understand Hundunic principles. Huzi was the teacher of Lizi. Huzi skillfully applied Hundunic principles, and by studying him, we can understand the essence of the Hundunic phenomenon. Mahjong is a game widely enjoyed by the Chinese. Do not underestimate Mahjong, it is a manifestation of Hundunic principles. A standard set of Mahjong consists of 136 tiles, including 4 east, 4 south, 4 west, 4 north, 4 center, 4 fa, 4 white, 36 jiao, 36 bing, and 36 wan. These tiles combine to form an astronomical number of possible arrangements. Thus, even if one plays Mahjong every day for a lifetime, they may never encounter the exact same combination twice. The game feels like a labyrinth, you may grasp the outcomes but not the underlying causes. It appears that everything happens by chance, with no discernible order. Each game of Mahjong hinges on luck and uncertainty, no one can predict whether they will win or lose. However, Hundun is not chaos, it is order. Hundun is governed by meticulous rules, leaving no room for loopholes. What appears random is in fact structured and inevitable. Mahjong players emphasize luck. If they win, they attribute it to having good shochi, hand luck. If they lose, they say their shochi is bad. What is suki? Try it yourself. If you are sleep deprived, in poor health, or have had sexual activity within 24 hours, your suki will be poor, and you are more likely to lose, unless the other 3 players are in an even worse condition. Additionally, the direction one faces and the 5 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, of all players affect the outcome of the game. Thus, to win at Mahjong, one must maintain high energy, good health, and avoid sexual activity for a short period. This increases the chances of having good suki. The question is, why do astronomical numbers of seemingly random tile arrangements align so closely with a player's suki? This is where Hundunic principles come into play. Now, let's turn our attention to society. Many wealthy individuals and successful entrepreneurs have little education and do not work particularly hard, yet they accumulate great wealth. Many individuals in politics lack high intelligence or outstanding moral character, yet they encounter numerous opportunities and rise smoothly through the ranks. Conversely, many well-educated, intelligent, kind-hearted, and hard-working individuals remain poor and fail to secure official positions. The secret lies in the principles of Hundun. Cleverness can be one's own undoing. Why? Because of Hundunic principles. Mr. Zhang Baosheng, a renowned figure in China's field of special abilities, had little formal education, yet his mind operates in a Hundunic state. This is the secret to his abilities. The more concepts one fills their mind with, the further they stray from Hundun. The more moral doctrines one embraces, the further they stray from Hundun. The more knowledge one accumulates and the more one pursues rationality, the further they stray from Hundun. The more rules one masters, the further they stray from Hundun. The more one seeks, the further they stray from Hundun. How can one draw closer to Hundun? Laozi advised us to return to the state of a newborn baby. Jesus Christ urged, become like little children. Zhang Sanfeng declared, to follow the mundane is to remain mortal, to transcend it is to become immortal. The key lies in reversing the ordinary. Buddha taught, detach from all forms, and let your mind dwell nowhere. These are the most profound methods to approach Hundun. The Tao of the greatest creator is the Tao of Hundun. Life Achanuan conveys Hundunic information and principles, and it is dedicated to fostering Hundun culture, revitalizing the roots and essence of Chinese culture. This is infinitely profound and endlessly captivating. Note, Hundun specifically refers to the order of the greatest creator and the seemingly intricate yet fundamentally unified and ordered state of the universe. The secret to realizing self-worth. Xiefeng. February 23, 2025. A lump of cow dung, when placed in a city, whether on the street, in a supermarket, or in an office building, is not only worthless but also unpleasant to people. However, if the same lump of cow dung is taken to the countryside, whether placed in a vegetable field or a garden, it becomes welcomed